You're listening to Hotepish with your host, DwannBrown. Intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
Talk some shit. Intelligent shit talk. Intelligent-ish talk. Hotep-ish. There's a lot of people new to the channel. I thank y'all. I thank y'all for subscribing. People like, what's up, Poppy? What's up, Dr. Sinister? People be like, Dwann, why do you call it Hotep-ish? Well, for the people new, I call it Hotep-ish because I don't know if y'all remember a few years ago, and still now, you get these self-hating Negroes and these people who don't like the skin that they're in. They like to go around and call black people who know who we are, who are in touch with our history, who like to use our history as fuel to push us forward. They like to call us Hoteps. Oh, you Hoteps, what? You vote for Trump? No, nigga, I just think. Oh, no, y'all Hoteps. Y'all just... So I'm like, okay, if these dumb motherfuckers want to make it a derogatory word, I'm going to flip it and use it. Why run from a word or why run from someone when the person or a label, when that label's been put on you by a dumbass? Oh, you just into that, all that black stuff. You just a Hotep. Okay, yeah, I am a Hotep then, nigga. And I'm going to talk this Hotep shit. So I labeled it Hotep-ish for a clear signal. Those who are black first, those who have no issues with black people speaking up for themselves, this is a home for you. But if you're one of those people who think that we aren't enough, that we need other help, and that black people who love themselves are just some ashy, dirty Hoteps, stay far the fuck away from this channel. You dig? Because here at Hotepish, I don't argue with people, man. We talk intelligent shit talk. We give you information that you can go ahead and use for yourself. And then you decide what you want to think. I ain't trying to tell a motherfucker how to think. Shit. I don't care how you think. I really don't. I really don't. I don't. What people do with the information, I am totally divorced from what people do with the information. I'm just here to give the information, because one thing I do know is that when black people have good information, black people generally make good decisions. But an ashy, dirty, sorry motherfucker is going to be sorry, good information or not. Thank you, Unsunken One, for the Cash App. It's somebody else who sent me a Cash App on the last show, and they said they sent me a question on Instagram. If that's you, I did not see the question. I got a heavy Instagram filter on messages because I get a whole bunch of random messages. So email me hotepish@gmail.com. Whoever that was that dropped that Cash App. You know who you are, and just put that in the title. You the person that dropped the Cash App, so I can answer whatever question it was. Because yes, I will answer questions to people who drop Cash Apps. I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but what I'm saying is if you do it, I will answer it. You dig? What's up, Jordan? What's up, Derek? What's up, Aaron? Smooth Grooves, Miss African Roots, Unsucking One, Goldie. What up, y'all? We are here. Big Lows. What's up, Tasha? What's up, Vincent? Mr. Trey Day, Staggers Music. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. We about to talk some shit. You know, someone asked me before. I was talking to somebody, and they were like, "Man, Dwan, you want to do this, and you want to look this way, you want to look that way, and you want to." They were like really into image and shit. And one thing about me, I'm not too much into it. I'm a kind of person that I think we as a people, or just humans overall, should be able to learn from anybody who gives information. Look, if a goddamn clan member got information from me, I'm learning. Like, think about this. When we were kids, when we were learning math, English, science, whatever in school, you didn't go and start looking for all this extra shit from your teacher. Is your teacher a good parent? Is your teacher this or is your teacher that? No, you just learned the fucking subject. That's what I'm about. That's why I end all my shows with "There are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages." Always have an open ear. When someone says something that vibrates with you, do further research and run with it. And always know this: some things that vibrate with you may not vibrate with sometimes your best friend or family members. Be okay with that. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to think for yourself. It's okay to disagree with me. I don't really trip on that. My only thing is, if you're going to disagree with me, give me some information to counter my information. And if we can keep it there, we good. But if people get into all this personality shit, and you said it this way, and I don't like the way you said it, or what you said hurt my feelings, I ain't got time for that shit, man. We in 2021. Oh, what's up, J. Rube? Appreciate that Cash App. UCLA Hooper. Former UCLA baller J. Rube. I appreciate that. But yeah, we ain't got time for these little semantics anymore, man. We're in a propaganda war, and we all know propaganda is always what we talked about on the last broadcast when I was exposing D.L. Hewley ho ass. Propaganda always comes before the real bullshit. So on this broadcast today, I am going to give everyone tools on how to fight this propaganda war that we're facing with information. If you look in the description box, I got a whole bunch of links in the description box. What are those links to? The links are to what we're about to go through here in this broadcast. I'm going to give you a bunch of articles written by Asians speaking to Asians over the whole model minority thing. I got some articles where they're saying it helps them. I got some articles with them saying it hurts them. And I also got some Pew Research to give us an accurate status of where they stand within the society. And we also got, I'm going to get into the Moynihan report towards the end, where we talk about how, the government basically said they're going to use other immigrant groups to give attention to undermine black plight. So yeah, we're going to tie all that shit in together. This whole model minority myth. And we're going to read, and I'm not going to read the whole article because these are some pretty long articles that I got. I'm going to skim through these articles, and I encourage everyone listening to read these articles for themselves. That's why I put these articles in the description box, because I'm not here to hate nobody. I'm not here to diss nobody. I am here to set the record straight. You did. And we as black people, oftentimes we see the bullshit going on, and I see us reacting, rightfully so. We going at these black celebrities and all these people that are trying to push this propaganda war. We are doing the right thing. We need to keep it up. But with this broadcast, I want y'all to share this shit. Like it, hit the like button, and share it, because I'm going to give you just some tangible information about how they talk amongst themselves about their model minority status and the racism within the Asian community towards black people. That way, when you have these discussions with people, you're not just, it doesn't sound like you're just ranting and you're just flustered. You need to be able to give them accurate information according to what they say and according to what independent research says about the racial dynamic here in the United States of America. Because one thing you're going to notice in these articles is most of these articles were written in last year, in the year 2000. I got some stuff that's older than that, but a lot of this stuff, like if you go on the internet and just Google this stuff, you'll find plenty of articles. But there are a lot written last year because of what was going on last year. Trump was in office. Trump, as we all remember, was labeling the COVID virus. He was calling it the China virus. So Trump, doing and saying what he did, for the most part, put a target on the backs of Asian society. And you'll go here and how he called it the China virus, and you'll see how Asians as a diaspora banded together, because when you go to the Pew Research and you listen to them talk about how Asians view themselves, Asians view themselves from from tied to their landmass. How can I say that? They view themselves according to their landmass, not Asia. They call themselves Chinese American, Japanese American, Indian American. They don't necessarily call themselves Asian American. That's something that Americans call them. But when it came down to Trump labeling it the China virus, you saw, for the most part, the Asian diaspora come together, when generally they see themselves as different. And that's according to Pew Research. What's the significance of Trump in last year? Well, last year, as we said, those of us who have a black first identity, when we were saying we're not going to vote for Joe Biden, it's not, and let's make it clear for you people who thought we were being Trump supporters. it wasn't out of support of Donald Trump. We saw that Donald Trump was giving everybody the business. And we saw that. He was spreading American hate around. Because America's a hateful nation. But generally, America focuses its hate on black people. All your other minority groups get together and they shit on the black people. The thing that the liberals and the conservatives have in common is their willingness to always shit on black people. Well, when Trump got in office, it went from the shit on black people thing to shit on everybody. And as the Trump presidency started to come to an end, it started to get more extreme. So you started to see a lot of Asians facing levels of discrimination in this country that they have not experienced since World War II. So because of that, there was a lot of articles being written by Asians to Asians questioning their model minority status. What does being a model minority really mean for us? So let's dive into this, and then I will get into your questions a little later on. But let me paint this picture for y'all. I'm going to start with this article here. Which one am I going to start with? I got a lot of articles for y'all asses. Let's start here. Let me screen share this. And if you're listening on Spotify later on, go to the YouTube link and catch it. Because I put all of these articles in my description box. Oh, not that one. This browser motherfucker. Oh, that's not it. That's the Counter Commission report. That's not what I want. Hold on. Why can't I share my browser? Yes. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. That's the benign neglect policy. I don't want to share that. Damn it. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this shit straight. What the fuck is going on? I am trying to give y'all some information, and this motherfucker don't want to share. Here we go. There we go. We here. This is an article in the medium.com. I kind of like the Medium because the Medium is a place that allows people from all over to basically tell their story. So you'll get to see stories being told in the Medium where people, for the most part, get to tell on themselves and their culture. This one here is titled, "Why Labeling Asian Americans as a Model Minority is an Insult to Blacks." Not black people, but blacks. That's funny. But anyway, this is from someone named Kui Ma. Hope I'm spelling her name right. Pronouncing her name right. She goes into talking about how basically this is Asians admitting that they accept the model minority status. See, look at this. Due to their ability to attain wealth and education levels on par with white Americans on average, Asian Americans have been dubbed the model minority. Let's first start off by correcting that. That is a half truth. That's more of an end result Hitler, back in World War II, basically called Asians honorary white citizens. He called them honorary white. That's because when you look at the racial hierarchy, white people see Asians as the least threat. Because if we go back to our to Dr. Francis Grace Welsing, and we talk about the racial hierarchy, the hierarchy is color coded, light to dark. So the lightest of the lightest, they get status in this racial hierarchy against black people. So in this article, they go in and talk to saying it has more to do with their work status. That's on the top. They got it for a lot deeper reasons than that. But in this article, she talks about going in, talking about Asians accepting model minority status. And she also talks about while Asians experienced historic discrimination in the United States, she goes into talking about how Asians were not enslaved. And the Asian American story begins with people who voluntarily came to this country. So even here in this article, she's writing to other Asians. She's drawing the distinction between the black plight and the Asian plight. These are their words, not mine. Because a lot of times people will be like, man, you just pro-black, man. You think black people don't do everything right, man. Come on, man. For you desperate, dumb, hopeless niggas that don't want to hear from a black person, go read it from an Asian. About them and what they had to go through in this country and how they recognize the difference between what they're dealing with and us. She tries to limit Jim Crow laws to just the South. Jim Crow laws were nationwide. Don't ever let these people limit Jim Crow to the South. Jim Crow is where the laws were heavily written and heavily, I should say, they were enforced openly. But Jim Crow happens in the North too. Believe me. A lot of the black people who got arrested in the North were black people who were still vagrants. They just call them openly vagrant laws. And they talk about how it's hard for black people to get living spaces in Chicago when black people moved to Chicago because of redlining and shit. That's still Jim Crow. Redlining was here in LA too. That's still Jim Crow. So it wasn't just the South. But she says it right here. Claire Jean Kim, professor at UC Irvine, says Asian Americans have faced various forms of discrimination, but never the systematic dehumanization that black people have faced during slavery and continue to face today. Again, these are Asian professionals drawing the differences between what Asians face and what black people face. And if you go through this article a little deeper, it talks about how the term model minority is used by the white supremacists as a racial wedge to draw between Asians and black people. And so when you read through this article, it goes into talking about how the COVID-19, when Asians were complaining about anti-Asian discrimination going up, it also went up for black people too. And so in here, she talks about solutions. What do you do? She's calling on Asians to not put any ethnicity on the pedal. She says the Asians need to hold themselves accountable for their own journey to discover the root causes of systemic racism and addressing them appropriately. Again, this is an article in the medium.com. It's in the link. And it's talking to Asian Americans about their discrimination towards black people. So when they go around telling you there's this anti-black thing going on, black people against Asians, out of nowhere, where the fuck is this coming from? This article was just written last October 10th, 2020. Let's go back a little further. This is from, the last article was from someone from Japan. This article is from someone from India, covering the Asian diaspora on this broadcast. I'm giving you different points of view from Asians from Japan, from China, from India, from all over Asia, and their points of view on how they view themselves in the racial hierarchy. So we can get very clear about this racial dynamic here. So when you go back and talk to people saying Asians aren't being discriminated against, because what happens is, appreciate Takar, appreciate the Cash App, thank you. What happens oftentimes is when black people are saying these things, we're emotional, and we just want someone to believe us. We're so used to not being heard, we just run our mouths out of emotion. And remember this, black folks, no one's going to listen to you when you're being emotional, no matter how right you are. Let me say this again. No matter how right you are, no one's going to listen to you just blah, 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 blah. I'm hurting my feelings. And oh, that wasn't right. And that's not fair. Look, the world ain't fair, God damn it. So don't nobody want to hear that shit. If you're going to have an argument, if you're going to have a discussion about these things, you got to be able to speak about it from a point of view of mastery of what you're talking about. And you master what you're talking about by reading things from different points of view. I can take y'all back to anthropology because, like I say all the time, cultural anthropology was my minor in college. I can take us back there to the anthropology books to back us up, but that would be way too much time for a broadcast on YouTube. If I was going that deep, I would have to do a goddamn webinar, and I have to charge you niggas if I'm going that deep. But for now, we're going to keep it here, these articles. And I want y'all to like and share this shit, because we are talking good shit here. I'm not answering any questions in the chat room right now. I'm focused on this subject, and you need to focus on it too. If you're in the chat room, anybody in the chat room talking about anything other than this, chill. This ain't your time to shine right now. Just chill. If you want to try to change the subject, let's keep it with what we're talking about. Because how do you fix a problem? You fix a problem through focus. When you were in math class and you first started learning algebra, when you first started trying to find the value of y, what did you need in order to complete these challenges? You needed complete focus on the problem at hand. You're not going to get an A on your math test if you're thinking about English, if you're asking a teacher about yesterday's history exam, if you're asking a teacher about what color are your eyes, blue or green. You're not going to goddamn pass the algebra test if you focus on anything other than the problem at hand. We got to get, as a people, get to the point to where we focus on the problem at hand. And what they do, this whole anti-stop Asian hate propaganda, what that's doing is getting black people and it's getting American society as a whole to take its focus and attention off the problem at hand. What America does through its propaganda is, like Neely Fuller says, deflect and deny. White supremacist motto is to deflect and deny white supremacy in its relationship to black people at all costs. Sometimes that cost means let's talk about LGBTQ issues. Let's talk about it's always something new. A few months ago, it was about trans issues. Before that, it's about LGBTQ. Before that, it's about women's rights. And then now the new thing is Asian rights. Tomorrow they're gonna be talking about midget rights. Anything they can do to deflect from the system of white supremacy. So we gotta focus. If you want to end white supremacy, you gotta focus on that shit like a laser. All right. And again, when we talk this racial shit, we gotta get that emotion. Remember this also. Racism isn't personal. Let me say that one more time. Racism isn't personal. Racism needs you to take it personal, because once you take it personal and get emotional about it, you stop thinking of solutions to it. But when you look at it from a systematic point of view, from a chess game point of view, and you look at the people, your brother and the people across the hall from you and the people across the aisle from you, if you see them as the pawns that they are, you'll be able to focus on the chess master and stop what the fuck he's doing. But you can't stop the chess master if you just focus on every little move the chess master's making with his little pawns. The Asians are the pawns. This Asian crime shit, propaganda, that's the pawns in this whole propaganda war and chess match between the white side and the black side of the chessboard. You dig? So this article is from the medium.com 2014. They're talking about racism in the tech industry. And it's talking about it from the point of view of Asians. And they're sort of caping for Hispanics in this. And also, but they're talking about Asians in respect to black people, Latinos, and Native Americans. It's going in talking about how Google's headquarters, Hispanics make up 21% of the population, but only 3% of the staff. It goes in and talking about the lack of women in the industry. And in here, the man talks about how he's talking about faults of the Indian American community. Here it says, from pervasive anti-black racist attitudes to domestic violence rate that some studies say have put at over 40%. Basically, let me highlight this shit. What he's saying here is this: in the Indian community, there's pervasive anti-black racist attitudes. Yet at the same time, over 40% of them motherfuckers is beating the shit out their wife. He's pointing out how, it's all kinds of shit going on within their community that they need to fix before they start fucking with us. This is for you dumb niggas that go around talking about, see, black people, it's our own fault. If we just get it together, we do better. This is fuel for you people who got them kind of dumbass friends that still say shit like that. Everybody got their underbelly, fool. Positive and negative. Every society has it. Every society has good and bad. But like I say all the time on this show, black society's underbelly gets exposed as its primary example. That's why you got Cardi B running around and Leslie Jones. You notice anytime Leslie Jones is on camera, she playing Mammy. Whether it be Coming to America 2, Saturday Night Live, or that Uber commercial. She got all the mammy faces, the mammy attitude. They put that bullshit out to represent black people. See, Asians complain about how before Bruce Lee, the whole Fu Manchu character was a problem. They always made the Asian the goofy, silly, opiate addicted imbecile. They didn't start cleaning those images of Asians up into the 1970s and 80s. But if you go back to the 50s, and they talk about it in some of these articles, every society has its underbelly. The difference is, when it comes to these other groups, They only talk about the Indians in tech. They don't talk about the Indians whooping their wives' asses. Conversely, they only talk about black people when it comes to, black people are the most in prison, the most least employed. They don't talk about black people in the context of our inventions. They don't talk about us in the context of what we create, of what we add to society, our walk, our talk, the way we dress. They don't talk anything about what black people give to society, but talk all about how black people degrade society. Going back into what I always talk about, the lie of omission. Lies of omission being the most dangerous form of lies. Because a lie of omission means, this is how lies of omission work. You say everything negative. You tell one side of the story. You talk about all these things are bad and that are bad, and then you omit what's good. Through message discipline, as you keep doing that and you keep doing that and you keep doing that about a group of people, it's going to naturally force people to have a certain opinion of those people. Example of how that works. White society. White society is always talked about and shown on TV as the saviors, as having everything in check, as people who run society, people who run governments, people who, America first, and they go to other nations and they save. They omit all of the predator drones that they use. They omit white savagery. Think about it. We got Discovery Channel. We got History Channel. You got National Geographic, the Smithsonian. Those motherfuckers talk about everything going on that's good with white. They talk about white folks in Egypt. They talk about white folks in ancient Mesopotamia, discovering this and that. But they never show you Europe. When was the last time you seen anything on Europe 2000 BC? Anything on Europe 800 AD? Anything on Europe during feudalism where they really dive into what they was going on? No, they omit that. Lies of omission. We'll show you the crown. We'll show you the British monarchy once the British monarchy was already set, took over half the world's assets, and had all the money. We'll show that, but we're going to omit when these same people, so-called British noblemen, were doing that noble shit out of barns back in the year 1417. We're going to omit that. Same thing here. They want to always show you the positive with Asian society while omitting the underbelly. Just like they show you all the negative of black society, they'll show you Dwayne Wade's kid in the dress. They'll show you all these black dudes walking. They'll put Lee Daniels out there, these black dudes that have been fucking done wrong and molested by their own fucking family. Then they'll let them make a movie to spread more anti-black bullshit because of their self-hate. But they rarely show you the black person that got their shit together. Omit the reality. That's how you get negative perceptions of a group of people and push forward a propaganda campaign against a group of people to delegitimize that group of people. In this article, the guy talks about, again, I'm not going to read the whole article. The link is in the description box. He's saying here what Asian American men must do. What would it take for Asian American men who have reached these new plateaus of power and success to see common cause with other minority communities and with other people of color? When will we commit to addressing the exclusion of women from opportunity in the tech industry? What about those of us who aren't CEOs in big tech companies? What can we do? First thing he says here is listen and believe. Talk to your coworkers who belong to underrepresented groups. Listen to their stories and experiences. Do not be defensive, just listen. He kind of sounds like a white man talking, don't he? It takes a certain privilege in his nation to be able to talk like this to another group of people. especially when your group of people only been in this country less than 50 years. But I digress. He goes on to say, and then when you're done, believe what they're saying. Don't explain it away. Don't play devil's advocate. Believe that they know just as much as you, and they're just as smart and as capable of you, and have experiences that you do not know about. Again, this is Asians speaking to Asians about their racism within their community. It goes on to say, stop ignoring the issue. Specifically, we should acknowledge that we haven't said enough about anti-Black and anti-Latino attitudes, and that we have not articulated our complicity in industry sexism and misogyny. Indeed, we have often helped build those systems of exclusion, not merely remain silent while they're enforced. This is an Asian admitting to helping build these systems of exclusion. Of course, he knows that. He comes from India. India is the home of anti-Black behavior. Ask Gandhi's bitch ass. He goes on to say, we must understand that trying to pass under the umbrella of whiteness will not save us from discrimination. This is a call from an Indian American written in 2014 telling other Asians, you're not going to pass. That's not going to save your ass. Isn't that what we've been seeing over the last year? Again, this is Asians talking to Asians. Indeed, the statistics show that Asians make $8,146 less than white workers at tech companies. Not as underpaid as other minorities, but certainly an enormous disparity that makes clear why solidarity between underrepresented communities is essential. This is an Indian man saying, hey, look, other Indians, we need to band together, because at the end of the day, white supremacy is going to come after us all. This is written in themedium.com, October 10th, 2014. Again, I am talking to you in their words, all right? This is how they view themselves. This here is an article from themedium.com, July 27, 2020. This is an article written by a second generation Asian. He's taking on the point of view of the model minority is a myth. And if you notice, there's a few of these articles, they're quoting W.B. Du Bois. So they know a little bit about our struggle if they're quoting Du Bois. Most of you niggas don't quote Du Bois. So what they're doing is, in here is talking about the model minority myth is detrimental to identity and sense of belonging, in particularly second generation Asian Americans. In this article, they're going in and talking about how they're using Du Bois to talk about how the closer to white you are, the more you can tend to be accepted. And they're talking about how, as a second generation Asian American, this person from Chinese descent, how it's basically some inauthentic shit to be considered a model minority. And they're talking about having pride in their Chinese and Cantonese and their Asian heritage. And in this article, they're going in and they're talking about how basically when Trump came with that Kung Flu and all that stuff, that was a reminder to Asians that this model minority shit is a double-edged sword. And again, it's going to openly hurt you and get you in the ass in the long run. These are cries for Asians to stop their bullshit when it comes to Black America, when it comes to this whole playing into this model minority myth. Again, so while the media is trying to point out to you and tell you that Asians are now facing some absurd level of discrimination, you got to ask yourself, absurd relative to what? What I see is they're experiencing an absurd level of racism relative to their quote unquote model minority status. What's happening is a lot of these Asians are getting under Trump, they were getting a Asian wake up call. The same way we see niggas get they nigga wake up call, Trump was giving them their Asian wake up call. And those of us who were saying, let's sit this election out as Black people, and if Trump gets in, that's okay, is because we were fine with them continuing to get their Asian wake up call because Black people weren't the ones giving them that call. It was white people. So look at what's happening right now with Joe Biden in office and the Indian, Asian American Vice President Kamala Harris. What's happening is these other quote unquote minority groups, they've gotten the big bad wolf Trump out of office. So now they're falling back into the alignment with their model minority quote unquote status. They're falling back into line with their status under white people, but over Black people. That's why these people have the nerve and the audacity to demand and ask Black people to help them out in their little bullshit ass plight. Y'all saw that NBC article a couple years ago. The reason why they got the nerve to ask this bullshit is because now with Biden in office and they don't have an open white supremacist targeting them, it's their turn to flex their muscle and say, now that we've gotten Trump out of office, it's time for us to get you niggas in control. Help us out against these white supremacists. And that's why we say to you motherfuckers, hold your own nuts. Because you have been warned by your people to stop this discrimination against Black people, and you didn't listen. Next, this article right here is from pewresearch.org. Yes, nigga, I went to the Pew, straight to the source. We bringing all the heat tonight. Share this shit, subscribe it. Because when I talk race, when I talk about propaganda, we don't talk about this shit from emotion. This is an emotional thing. We talk about it with a clear mind and clear understanding, clear thought. You got to be clear. No one's going to listen to, man, fuck you and kill Whitey. And another thing for you comment niggas in the comments. Can y'all stop? When I post something on race, don't be getting all of my comments talking about kill this person and kill that person. Nigga, you ain't going to do shit. All right? So don't bring that heat and attention to my page. We need to get out and do something. We need to get out there and just shoot them off. No, you niggas need to sit y'all asses down because you ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. You niggas running around talking about what you gonna do ain't gonna do shit. So don't come to my page with that shit. If I'm posting something about race, it's for information so you can then think, and address the propaganda properly. It ain't for you to come around and rally around, man, we just need to go ahead and kill all these motherfuckers. Yeah, if you don't sit your corny ass down, you ain't killing shit. You ain't gonna do nothing. Let's just tell the truth. You're not gonna do shit. So don't go around social media banging. And if you're going to social media bang, do that shit on your own fucking page. Go write as many posts as you want about who you going to kill. Don't come on my page with that shit. Because you ain't going to do a goddamn thing. It's disingenuous. It's fake. It's phony. And I don't do fake and phony militancy. I do solutions. I talk to people who want to think and be clever and smart about how they're going to solve the racial problem. Not dumbasses talking about something, we need to just go in and kill everybody. Sit your dumb ass down, nigga. We don't need keyboard revolutionaries. We don't need keyboard militants. Got these keyboard panthers out here. Now, what we need to do is just kill them all. No, nigga, you need to go ahead, pull up Pornhub, and go to your favorite porn star because you probably ain't got a woman that's satisfying you right. And knock that one off, get your blood pressure back down, and then come back and talk to me when you feel like being smart. That's somebody who just put a thumbs down right there. That was one of them agents. You niggas ain't gonna do shit. So do not come to my page with that bullshit. You ain't Denmark Vesey. You ain't Nat Turner. You ain't even John Brown. You're Joe Schmo working security at a parking garage with 8 hours a day to be on your phone talking about what you gonna do. Excuse me for the segue. I just got another thumbs down. That must be another one of the other keyboard thugs in the chat room. Yeah, this is not the place to come for keyboard militancy. This is the place to come for people who like to think their way and solve problems, and they'll take it upon themselves to be the solution that they seek. Not run around talking about who they gonna kill, because like I said before, you ain't doing shit. Back to this article. PewResearch.org. This is an article from June 19th, 2012. If my memory serves me correctly, that was either the day or sometime around that LeBron James won his first championship with Miami against the Oklahoma City Thunder with the greatest team ever put together on paper, the Miami Heat, 1 year after losing to the Dallas Mavericks in the finals on the same date. 2 years after my Lakers beat the Celtics, June 17th, 2010, my birthday. Y'all know I'm a basketball fan. My bad. I'm just somebody who used to be a nigga who remembered everything about basketball and said, if I can remember all this basketball knowledge, I should be able to remember knowledge about my people and knowledge of empowerment to spread to my people instead of every stat known to man. Game for you fellas out there. That's game. If you can remember it when it comes to sports, you can remember it when it comes to the upliftment and evolution of your people. That's a personal testimony. So in this article, they're talking about perceptions of discrimination. In 2012, they're basically saying that Asians felt that this is when Obama was in office. This is before Big Bad Trump. This is when everything is good. Because I always say, if you want to really see, look at what people do for you when everything is good. When it comes to race. When it comes to this racial dynamic, if you want to see who's really on code, if you want to see who's really about stopping the hate, quote unquote, you'll see those people doing that movement, doing that work when it isn't popular, when everything is okay. So when everything was okay and they weren't facing this Trump level of discrimination, Asians themselves said, we haven't been personally treated unfairly in this country. That's what they say. They say that they, for the most part, get along with other groups. But here's the part that I pointed out to me in that Pew Research article. Korean Americans have stand out for their negative views on their group in relation with black people. And they're saying here, in several cities across the country, there's been a history of tension between Koreans and blacks, often arising from friction between Korean shopkeepers and black customers in predominantly black neighborhoods. So here, this Pew Research article is telling you that the negative tension amongst Asians, it isn't with all Asians, it's specifically with Koreans that have shops in black neighborhoods. What does that tell you? Does that tell you that black people are targeting Asians? Or does that tell you if Asians and black people have an issue, it's generally a response to Asian shopkeepers' attitudes towards black people in black neighborhoods? Nowhere on here does it say black people go to Asian neighborhoods and start shit with Asian people. It's saying the Koreans in black neighborhoods, cause tension with the black customers. This is Pew Research. So yeah, I encourage y'all to go through this article because it's talking about, even here, it's talking about the how Asians vote, and it's telling you how they got the survey done. So I encourage you to go to pewresearch.org. Again, this link is in the description box. Because I don't ask no one to believe me. I say read the shit for yourself. This here is an article. January 15th, 2020. Are Asian Americans white or people of color? Question to you black people. Have you ever had to ask yourself, are you white or black? Is there any privilege this country has given you to even ask you to pose that question? And if you look at this article again, borrowing the color line from W.B. Du Bois, it's a lot of Asians quoting Du Bois. Shows you how dope we are, black people. When it gets down to the nitty gritty, when it gets down to what's real when it comes to race in America, they quote us. In this article, it's talking about the different ways of migrations Asians had to America. One after 1882 and the other after 1965. And this here is an article of, this is one of those weirdo chicks. See how she spells women with the X instead of the E. Using all these vague terms. You see how these people can conflate and talk about what's going on with the black American community when it comes to their turn to face discrimination. But she points out something interesting in this article. It talks about how Asians fought against black people when it came to affirmative action in Washington. This here's an article I just clicked on from October 17th, 2019. This is from thedailybeast.com. Again, this link is in the description box. On November 5th, voters in Washington are set to decide on the future of Referendum 88, a measure that would allow affirmative action hiring in public jobs. The measure has support from civil rights groups like the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, but faces opposition from states' veterans groups and the organization Washington Asians for Equality, which claims the measure would lead to preferential treatment for some groups, mainly black people. So what do you have here? You have Asians who in 2019, before the coronavirus hit, before they were worried about China virus and Kung Flu, marching with the Proud Boys to stop black people from getting affirmative action. Share this shit, because y'all gonna share this shit with some self-hating Negro that's gonna be like, why black people all complaining? That's why I purposely got these articles written by Asians and written by white people to the problem that we have between the dynamic of black and Asian, and white people using that dynamic to craft legislation that's going to ultimately harm black people. This also is in the description box. Another article, May 22nd, 2020. This is another op-ed in response to Andrew Yang. I don't know if y'all remember, Andrew Yang had that op-ed that he wrote right here, where he talked about basically Asians need to act more American. Andrew Yang tried that Asians need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps argument with Asians, and Asian society holistically rejected this motherfucker. The same way black folks go back at black people who coon out, Andrew Yang basically cooned out in this article, saying that they just need to do better. And then if they do better, they won't face any discrimination. So a lot of these articles that I'm reading, some of them are in response to that article from Andrew Yang, basically saying, look, we can't do that. The black people tried that shit and it didn't work for them. In this article, it's talking about how Andrew Yang accepted the model minority myth. And how through accepting that myth, he's basically accepting racial inferiority to white people. And they're right. So this is Asian society speaking up to its quote unquote Asian leaders like, no, we don't need to be accepting second to shit. These motherfuckers still colonized us. Do you remember that? In this article, it talks about how the model minority myth upholds structural racism. Structural racism is I'm not quoting, I'm quoting the article. Structural racism is sustained partially because it recruits everyone's participation to uphold it, including the oppressed. The model minority myth recruits Asians to uphold it by patting us on the head and saying, if you work hard and keep your head down and stay quiet, we'll pay some of you just enough so you think you've made it. That's kind of what they do to these niggas like D.L. Hughley. if your whole ass is listening, getting me banned from Twitter. This is an Asian talking about Asians getting paid to shut up. And then you got these niggas like D.L. Hewley, these niggas like Common, all these blue check Twitter niggas caping for Asians when you got Asians here telling you that they uphold the system themselves. The article goes on to say, and they're paraphrasing, this is an Asian speaking about how white supremacy talks to them. We will let you rise through the ranks just enough so you can have big, fancy titles, but not too big to where you can actually have power. We will accept you only on our terms. In return, you can feel like you're better than the black and brown siblings. That's them, including Brown, not me. And you promise not to challenge whiteness and white supremacy culture. And you cannot expect us to invest in things like cultural competency training in human health care, because treating you like you are barely human is the best we can offer you. Deal? It says in this article, many Asians shake it. They basically handshake on this deal. They're telling you this person's lady's name is Xing Zhao. Xing Zhao. It ain't no, her last name ain't Miller. Her last name ain't Washington. Her first name isn't Karen or Beth. I follow this lady Xing Zhao. She's dope over in China. they be over there because she comes back and forth between China and the United States. China been trying to silence her on Chinese Twitter for a long time. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen her tweet in a while, so it's either me not getting her tweets or she's been officially banned in China. I don't know. I got to go back and see. But she's talking about how Asians basically have a handshake deal with the white supremacists. A handshake deal that guarantees them extra privileges within this system of white supremacy as long as they refuse to challenge number one. And that's why, even though, for those of you confused about what's going on, why is it a white person can kill six Asians on Friday, and by Monday the conversation be back on black people and Asians? This is it. Asians know not to challenge white daddy. That's the deal. That's why Joe Biden has this COVID-19 anti-Asian crime act that he's trying to sign. That's a wink and a nod to the Asians. Look, we got you, homeboy. Just stay here. Stay on our side. You think I'm bullshitting? Joe Biden urges Congress to pass the hate crime legislation. God damn it, pop up. No, I'm not. Man, shit. Hold on. Let me go to another article. I don't feel like dealing with these pop-ups today. Hell, let's go straight to the whitehouse.gov. They ain't got no pop-ups. Joe Biden is pushing this anti-Asian hate crimes act. See, when black people are facing it, remember last year when black people were facing all that discrimination? What did the Democrats say? The Democrats ran on, we're going to get help for minorities, right? They never said anti-black racism. They never said we're going to specifically help black people. They said we're going to help people of color. We're going to help minorities. We're going to help trans. We're going to help women. When George Floyd got killed, a black man, it became all about helping minorities. When Tamir Rice was killed, it became all about people of color. When an Asian gets pushed down in San Francisco, it's a whole crime act specifying Asians. See the difference in treatment? Are you seeing the dots that I'm connecting between what they're saying? This is what Asian Americans are saying, and I'm connecting that with how the government is operating. You get the truth by connecting words to actions. Words alone don't say anything. Words backed by action equals the truth. Let me say that again. Words backed by action is where you find truth. Like they say, don't talk about it, be about it. You show me what you are, what you think by what you be about. The person running their mouth saying, I'm going to beat your ass, nigga, blah, blah, blah. He ain't fighting nobody. The person that's about it is the person that just walks up and boom, two to the chest. That's the nigga that's about it. Uppercut. Not the one saying what they gonna do. Like a lot of these comment niggas in my comments on my Instagram and on my Facebook. Man, we just gonna do. You niggas ain't about it. Joe Biden is showing you what about it means. Nigga, let's pass a law. And he's saying let's pass it swiftly. Read this shit. While they're telling you they can't do anything specifically for black people, look at this. They're talking about anti-Asian. They mentioned Asian, Pacific American, Asian again. They tell black people they can't address specific groups, right? When it's black people, it has to be minority, people of color, women, trans, all lives matter. When it comes to Asians, boom. This is straight from the White House's mouth. Going to the Moynihan report. When they talk about benign neglect, this is the Moynihan report. You know, oftentimes references January 16, 1970. You can get this from nixonlibrary.gov. Moynihan report. Links in the bio. Talks about how to treat black people politically. It's telling you back here in 1970. It's time that the issue of race could benefit for a period of benign neglect. Basically, race been talked about too much. Let's give preferential treatment to these other groups and races of people. To Indians, Mexican Americans, Puerto Rico will be useful. It's telling you right here. Basically, ignore the Black Panthers, ignore the black grassroots, and give preferential treatment to other minority groups. This is how the government your black ass pay taxes to treats you and thinks about you. This is an op-ed in the LA Times from John Chow. This is that Asian dude. I think, wasn't he the dude that was in American Pie? Go and read this article. He's basically crying and bitching and moaning about the model minority status being a conditional thing, conditional on how Asians act in America. This was written April 22nd, 2020. Again, them talking to themselves and questioning themselves about the model minority status. This is how they talk to one another. Let's go in a little deeper. I don't talk about race from some kill whitey point of view. I don't talk about race from the point of view of black people are doing so bad and everybody else is doing so good. Fuck no. I ain't got time for that shit. I talk about this shit from a solutions point of view. Because black people, we smart as hell. We know how to solve these issues. We just allow easy bullshit distractions. In here, this from denshow.org. Again, this article is in the description box. This article was going at Andrew Yang. This from April 3rd, 2020. They're basically telling Andrew Yang, look, you an Asian coon. You telling us to be better model minorities. And in this article, he talking about all the shit that Asians had to face in America and before America, before Pearl Harbor, dropping bombs on their country. It's basically saying, look, we've been loyal to this country and they still gonna treat us like shit. This is a really good article for you guys to read further. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. They're talking about the time that Japan, because basically Andrew Yang was talking about Asian Americans should escape racism by appealing to races. And it's talking about how during World War II, Japanese Americans tried to show their loyalty to the United States, and they still ended up in goddamn internment camps. So basically, this is an article from an Asian talking about racial dynamics and how that whole model minority thing doesn't work for Asians. And it's talking about how, in this article, how Asians really need to think about coming together and fucking with black people. Y'all need to stop fucking with black people and start fucking with black people. Y'all know what I mean? Stop fucking with them and fuck with them. Asians ain't gonna get what they want until they unify with other quote unquote minority groups and do it. Look at this. Read this part here. This is from the article. Putting a model minority show of hyper-patriotism and unrequited loyalty will not protect us. What will protect us is solidarity. With black folks creating pathways to liberation through both white supremacy and anti-blackness from other people of color, they can push forward. This is Asians talking about black people creating the pathway to liberation through white supremacy and anti-blackness from other people of color. Again, this is in the description box. I am doing this here for black people, for us. When we talk about these things going on systematically, I'm giving you words for it to discuss your frustrations and how they frame it. Because sometimes as black folks, sometimes we can think we're going a little bit crazy talking about all this anti-black behavior, talking about racism. This shit can drive us fucking wild, man. I know it. It does. If it drives us wild. So that's why we get emotional about this kind of shit. That's why we stop and that's why we get so hurt by it. And we start crying and complaining and going all willy-nilly. Because it is a lot. My whole purpose of this broadcast today is to empathize with my black brothers and sisters because, yes, it is a lot. We are going through a lot. We deal with a whole lot of shit. It can be emotionally draining. It can be trying. It can be hurtful. It can really fuck with our heads. I empathize. I'm with you. That's why I promote education. Not education going off to some white man college getting a white man's degree. No. Educating yourself is to the social dynamics, because through education of the social dynamics, you can then be aware of the dynamics, kick the emotion to the side, then be logical about how you're going to solve whatever problem it is. When you were first faced with a quadratic equation in math, did you cry and say it was too hard and ran away? Some people did. And those people never figured out how to solve a quadratic equation. But for those who, after they first saw that quadratic equation for the first time, got nervous and was like, oh shit, this is going to be hard. But they buckled down and they studied. They remembered their principles, how to divide, add, and subtract. They carried that knowledge of dividing, adding, and subtracting into this new form of solving problems. And you sat there with your professor and listened and learned on how to solve the problem. Then you went home and you did homework. And you kept solving these problems over and over again. And if you struggled, you hired a tutor to help solve these problems. That's how problems are solved. Through one, facing the problem. Two, after facing the problem, addressing the problem head on. That's what we're here to do. Address the problems that black people are facing head on. Not get emotional and say the problem is too much. If you're one of those black people that be like, man, we ain't gonna never get out of this. You have two solutions for if you're that kind of black person. The first solution is to be patient and continue to listen to programs like this. Read Dr. Claude Anderson. Listen to Neely Fuller, and whatever the solutions that you see these masters, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and all these people exposing, you become the living embodiment of those solutions. That's the first option. The second option is just to shut the fuck up and get out of our way. Shit. If you don't think these problems can be solved, you don't think black people are good enough, fine. Get the fuck away from us then. Go be a failure on your own. Don't come around those of us who see light at the end of the tunnel. Don't come around those of us who see ourselves as strong enough to face and solve whatever problems we face, including white supremacy. Don't come around us with your failure attitude. Two options. Change your attitude, get your information up, get your game up so you can be someone out here that helps us, or get the fuck away from us. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. All right? I'm not here to tell people what they need to do. I don't give a fuck what people do. If someone decided to fucking take some acid and drink 10 ounces of liquor, go. I don't give a fuck. I don't preach to people, man. That's another thing. I don't like all that telling people what they need to do. I ain't telling you shit. What I am doing is giving information to the willing who want to understand a little more clear, who want to be pointed in a direction more clear. That's what I'm here for. I don't believe in arguing with people. My freedom isn't up for debate. The freedom of black people is nothing to argue with. Don't argue with white supremacists. Don't argue with other black people. Either be about the business of solving the issues or be about the business of shutting the fuck up. That's what we here for. Hotepish is a different kind of station. I don't argue with niggas. I don't argue and debate my freedom. My mama's black. My daddy's black. I ain't debating their freedom. My sister's black. My wife is black. I'm black. I'm not debating our freedom ain't up for debate. That's my family. That's me, goddammit. It's not a debate. It's just a problem for us to solve. And we gonna solve these problems too, because black people, we smart as hell, we dope. We are on code. We are solving these problems. Get the fuck away from me if you have a defeatist mindset. Why am I talking about all this? What does it mean? We are in an anti-black propaganda war that's going on right now. We have to speak loud and unrelenting to people that are echoing this whole Asian hate shit, because it's going to result in laws. These laws are deadly. What Joe Biden is doing here, remember this. When crime centered around crack cocaine needed to be written, Strom Thurmond called on Joe Biden to help him write that. When violence in the inner city became an issue, they called on Joe Biden to write laws to solve that. Now they're pushing this fake propaganda campaign, which I literally just proved, according to the words of Asians, that there's no specific targeting of Asians, that Asians participate in white supremacy themselves. They're creating this narrative and these laws. And guess who's in office to push these laws through? The same guy with a over 40-year track record of writing laws that target black people. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. So if an Asian person in the hair salon socks a sister and her boyfriend comes and beats his ass in response, that black boyfriend now committed a hate crime against Asians. Y'all see where I'm going with this? Asian talks disrespectful to black person. We know they do this based on their words. The Pew Research article talks about that. Says it here, highlight it. Where is it? Perception. Talks about it right here. Right here, pewresearch.org. The history of tension between Koreans and black people arises from the friction between Korean shopkeepers and black customers. That's Pew Research telling you that's the basis of Asian and black aggression. But now, if a black person defends themselves from anti-black behavior committed by Asians under Joe Biden's new little law, that can be considered a hate crime. Think I'm bullshitting? Look at this. Hold on, let me pull the article. I just saw a shooting that happened over the weekend in Compton. There was a black woman who was shot in Compton, unfortunately. It looks as if she was mixed with Asian. But now they're calling for this to be considered a hate crime. Look at this. Compton shooting. Family of murdered 27-year-old Asian woman calls for a hate crime. But if you see her mama looked like Anita Baker. Black as hell. This is a black woman. But since they can draw the Asian phenotype, whatever black person, whoever committed this crime definitely deserves to go in jail. I'm not saying they don't. If you murder someone, right under the bottom of the prison. I don't give a fuck about you. But they're making it because if the murder happened in Compton, that means they're suspecting a black person did it. And whatever black person committed this crime is going to then face enhancements for a hate crime. You know what this does? It opens up the slippery slope. For now, say a black person beats up and gets into a fight with a Kamala Harris style Asian. You beating that nigga's ass because they said some bullshit. Or they tried to sleep with your gal. That's now under these new laws going to be considered a hate crime. It's another way of criminalizing black behavior. Because when it comes to laws, there are more than enough laws already on the books to stop any level of crime out there. There's no need for any law to ever get put on the books again through perpetuity. As long as the United States exists, there is never any reason to put any new hate law on the book. You already got the 5th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. You got this shit already on the books. They put these new added laws as far as ways to make ways to add. How can I say this? I'm fucking up. To add punishment to whatever crimes committed. And they never give white people these punishments. White people they very rarely get hit. Like when these laws first pass, you may see a couple white people get hit with those enhancements, and then when shit gets quiet, those enhancements quietly get swept under the rug when it comes to white people. But when it comes to black people get punished to the full extent of the law. The only reason to ever add new laws to the book is to punish black people further and get black people further behind the 8 ball. And then just for generations to come later and say, hey, well, that was a problem. Well, now we lost a whole nother generation of black fathers because that black person acted like a human in response to oppression. You feel me? Because let's tell the truth. People be thinking that people are under the illusion that white people got a hand over us because they just big and bad. No. White people got their advantage over us because there were laws starting with the colony of Maryland in 1690 that said white people can own guns, black people can't. In Virginia, in South Carolina, North Carolina, these colonies, colony by colony, starting with Blackbeard's invasion in Charleston. Actually, I say Maryland. No, Charleston, South in Charleston, Carolina. When Blackbeard and them motherfuckers held up the port for 30 days, and they saw that nigga walking. No, Blackbeard and Black Caesar. Black Caesar was the black pirate. When they saw Black Caesar, black ass walking up and down with that shotgun, fucking up business in the colonies for 30 days. The minute they captured his ass and he was up out of there, the first thing they did was say, okay, black people can't own guns. Negroes. And when the United States became a country, those laws from the colonies got adopted into different state laws that banned black people from owning firearms and banned black people from hitting back. When you go back to Jim Crow, a black person had a decision to make. A black person will face disrespect from a white person, and they had a decision to make. Do I beat the dog shit out this white boy, or do I just take this spit in the face and go home so I can make it back to see my kids and my family and provide for my family? Those are the decisions black people and black men were faced with. It's not that we couldn't whoop their ass. It's that if we did whoop their ass, there was a consequence that would lead to us being put into greater confinement, aka prison. So they literally took our ability to defend ourselves away from us, which exposed us to the level of physical mistreatment that we've been facing since the days of 1690 here in America, when the first laws between black gun ownership got into play. That's what we're dealing with. That's the grand thing. That's the grand play here. White society needs its model minority Asians to know that they will be able to harm black people with impunity. All that shit that was going on with Trump. Oh, no, that Kung Fu. Oh no, that was the other guy. That was him. We're nicer than that. I'm Joe Biden. Look here, I'm going to give you new laws to show you how much I fuck with you Asian people. That's what that bullshit was about. They can try, but it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Because these white supremacists hate everybody. It's a lot of these white supremacists that cannot stand the quote unquote Asian model minority. And they're going to keep doing what they did this past week, shooting up massage parlors. And look, you think Trump getting out of office made them motherfuckers mad as hell? These honkies ain't gonna stop that bullshit. They gonna double down. And just like the lady warned in the article, Asians are putting themselves out on the ledge by identifying with white supremacy and turning their backs on black people. That's not going to work out too well for them. It's not. So that means, what do we need to do, black people? It means we need to sit down and hold our own nuts and worry about us. Don't worry about them. Let they hold their own nuts. People be like, "Whoa, what's the solution? What are you talking to all these blacks? What's the solution?" I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell everybody who asks me what the solution is. I've been giving you solutions throughout the whole broadcast. Every broadcast I do is intertwined with solutions. You just got to be quick enough to pick it up. Everything's not going to be laid out for you on a platter. Some shit you just got to understand and listen. And for those of you who weren't able to pick it up, I always say this. I always say go back and read Claude Anderson, Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics. And when it comes to reading information, the solution isn't to read it and then go about and say, "Hey, I read that book." The solution is to read the book, to read this information, and embody the information. Embody the ideas. You live them. Be the living embodiment of black labor, white wealth. Meaning you get your economics together. You have a black first ideology. You come across others with that same ideology and you do business together. Then once your business is together, you hire black. And then once you get that done, then you get to the political realm. You nigga, read the book yourself. Embody Malcolm X. Embody Marcus Garvey. Embody Frederick Douglass. Embody the people that inspire you. You don't just read information and say, "Hey, I read that." You embody the information. Meaning you do something with it on your level. Everybody ain't gonna do the same thing. You do whatever that information it is that stuck with you. You embody that on your level. Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire said it best. Nations bloom today on gifts from yesterday. Born of the earth are nations' children, bred by the wind, the breath of life. I can't sing for shit. But go listen to Earth, Wind & Fire, that Spirit album, the song Earth, Wind & Fire. Nations bloom today on gifts from yesterday. Meaning, whatever nation, any nation that's ever been built, blooms on the gifts those before them left behind. Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Elijah Muhammad, Claude Anderson, they all gave us gifts, seeds. Seeds take root in fertile soil. Fertile soil that's watered. How do you water your seed? You read the information. You water it by not only reading it, but by implementing what was said and doing. And through implementing what was said and through doing, the flowers bloom. Nations bloom. The British Empire, aka the United States, bloomed from the gifts their white supremacist elders left them through the conquest of the European wars, the Anglos and the Saxons. The Anglos and the Saxons won out. They beat the Franks. They beat the Visigoths, the Vandals. And as far as European history go, the gift that the Queen of England received, that she's bloomed, we see the bloom. We see the British monarchy now. We see the United States now. Well, that's a bloom from the gifts that were given to them or stolen from us. Let's put it first. Those are gifts that were stolen from us by their elders and ancestors and given to them, which they then bloomed into their heaven, which has been our hell. We've had a lot of greats give us the gifts. It's on us to be the ones. We're the generation that bloomed from the gifts that they left us. Yes, times do look dark, but the dopest plants come from the darkest soil. All life comes from the darkness. Galaxies are born on the other side of black holes. The laws of nature are still in play when dealing with racism. That's why we as black people, that's why I can't wait to get Brother Cabo on here. Because if you stick within the laws of nature, you'll be fine. The laws of nature say nations bloom today on gifts from yesterday. That's all planting a seed is. And all things that were created come out of darkness. So dark times mean if we continue to water our seeds, we're going to bloom some great, dope shit. As long as we stay on point. That's what we're here for. My website is almost up. I have my book coming, but along when I release my book, No Time to Waste, a self-motivation guidebook, I'm teaching a webinar on that. And if you sign up for the webinar, the book will come free. You're going to get the book, and you're also going to get information, worksheets, and things that'll help you digest the book and apply the book to your life. That's going to be a webinar. The price is $29. That includes the book and information. And yes, you got it. Because what's $30 in comparison to you finally attaining all of the things that you've been wanting to? Just didn't have the motivation on getting out and didn't know how to get it done. I'm gonna help you out with that from experience. In the No Time to Waste workshop, email hotepish@gmail.com or info@breakthroughas.org for more information. I'll give it to you once I have it up on Eventbrite. It's going to be on Eventbrite. I'm setting the Eventbrite up right now. I will have it on my next broadcast. I'll have the Eventbrite set up, and I'll put it. And then for later, and then once I get the Eventbrite set up, I'll come back and put it in the link of the video of this box, and in future boxes when I have the Eventbrite all the way set up. But I'm thinking about doing it April 25th on a Sunday. I'm just making sure my editor is going to be done with my booking time because I don't want to do no damn event and not have a book for y'all. Sample packs are coming out soon. And we got a lot of dope shit coming out. What y'all talking about in the chat room now? I ain't been paying attention to I have not been paying attention to the chat room because shit, I lose my train of thought. What are y'all talking about? Y'all over here. Okay, y'all talking in here. Let's see what's in the chat room. I'm looking back from a little earlier. Some of you niggas was arguing and shit. That be tripping me out when y'all be arguing. That should be funny as hell. Especially when people argue in the comment section. I posted a picture. I posted a video of Kyrie Irving on Instagram talking about some real dope shit. But I got niggas in the comment section arguing over his flat earth theory. Oh my God. Throw niggas a ball of yarn is so easy to get distracted. He was talking about self-love and self-worth. And you niggas talking about some damn comments he made about the flat earth a few years ago. I just saw on Twitter. Rest in peace, Elgin Baylor. Kind of got put out there and hung out to dry by the Clippers when he worked for them. But Laker great Elgin Baylor has passed away. The original Michael Jordan. The original Michael Jordan. He paved the way for Dr. J, for David Thompson, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins, Kobe, LeBron. That athletic small forward / shooting guard that gets buckets. Elgin Baylor was a prototype of that. Rest in peace to Elgin Baylor. So yeah, my name is Dwan B. Thank y'all for joining this broadcast. Share this shit, like this shit, subscribe to this shit. Because this is information that you can now use when people are talking to you about why you need to help out Asians. You can show them Asians in their own words talking about their anti-black racism and their acceptance of model minority status to be number 2 to white people, which basically means in order to get your acceptance, you fuck with us. You've seen the articles in here with them marching against affirmative action for black people. So yes, this broadcast is all about exposing what's real, exposing what's really going on, and using that as information to inform whatever decisions that you make. I see y'all talking about the Earth and Fire versus Ozzy Brothers versus. I cannot wait for that. As a matter of fact, concerts are coming back to LA. I got my tickets to see Earth and Fire and Santana June 18th here in LA. I got some floor seats to see that motherfucker. Because anybody know me and my wife, in the summertime, we go to concerts at least 4 or 5 times a month. At least once a week, sometimes twice a week. We at somebody's concert. Hollywood Bowl, Staples Center, LA Live, it don't matter. We'll drive to San Diego for a goddamn concert. So this whole summer, last summer with no concerts, been fucking with us. So yeah, I'll be seeing Earth and Fire in Santana this coming June in LA. But thank y'all for listening. Again, somebody said they're getting vaccinated and hitting up shows all summer. Well, get your vaccine. Go ahead, my brother. Because I ain't getting shit. For those of you that want to take that thing, I'm not going to say you shouldn't. I don't tell people what they should and shouldn't do. But I ain't getting no goddamn vaccine. Nope. They came out today and said that Moderna one has a 79% effective rate. I'm good. But for those of you who got it, that's cool with me too. I ain't tripping. Look, remember my overlying message here is always this. You have to do what is cool according to your consciousness. You got to be genuine and true to your consciousness. Sometimes your consciousness may intersect and butt heads with somebody in your family's consciousness or someone you're very close to. Y'all may think very differently on certain small issues and certain things. Be okay with that. Just be okay with whatever your consciousness say is the right thing for you to do. All right. But anyway, I'm out of here. My name is Dwan B. There are no perfect messengers. Oh, shit. And get your t-shirts. I keep forgetting. Get your t-shirts. Black people don't owe anybody anything but an ass whooping. If you don't feel like saying that to any of these people that want you to push this propaganda, just buy the t-shirt and don't say anything. Just zip your lips and point to the t-shirt. Black people don't owe anybody anything but an ass whooping. Remember this, there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up the game. My name is Dwan B. I'm out.